Hi everybody. So this is our first lesson for measurement today. So who can tell me or thinks they know, what does it mean to measure? Usually when you measure something, you're looking to see how big it is, how small it is, how tall it is, how short it is, how heavy it is to lift, or how light it is. And there's lots of different tools that you use to measure. We're going to be learning about them. There's a ruler, which we've used in kindergarten often. There are yardsticks, which is bigger than a ruler. There are these things which are called measuring tapes. Then there are scales. If you remember in kindergarten, we have balancing scales with the two little cups, and there's like a stick thing in the middle that it stands up on. And then you put something in and they move like this, or they can balance. Then there's also the kind of scale that you can stand on that tells you how much you weigh. When you go to the doctor, they usually ask you to stand on it so they can weigh you. They also have a big one of these that's even taller than a yardstick, and they usually have you stand up against it to see how tall you are. All right. Then there are also, there's a type of scale when you go to the grocery store and you pick out fresh fruit or vegetables. Then there is a scale sitting somewhere, and mom or dad might put, or you might put your fruit or vegetables on top of it, and then you push little buttons and then it tells you how much it weighs, and it prints out a little sticker for you to put on it, so when you go up to the cash register, they know how much it costs because it goes by how much it weighs. Sometimes when you buy food, like I have a box of sugar here, it tells you how much it weighs in what's called pounds. Okay, if you have sugar or flour or brown sugar in your cupboard at home, if you've been doing cooking, or if mom or dad ever do any cooking, if you look at it, it'll tell you how many pounds it is with an abbreviation. It has an L and a B, and that is the abbreviation for pounds. So that tells you there are 2 pounds of sugar in this box. Okay, and you would feel it, it's a little bit heavy. So just think how that compares to how much you weigh. Maybe you weigh 30 pounds. Maybe you weigh 45 pounds. You know, Mom, I weigh, I'm not going to say how much I weigh, but over 100 pounds. Jackson weighs about 120 pounds. So pounds tells us how much things weigh. All right. So we'll get into more about pounds later in our measurement lessons. The first thing we're going to start out with measurement is, long time ago, how did people measure? Okay, they didn't have a ruler, they didn't have a yardstick, they didn't have a scale. It was way back when things had not been invented yet. So guess what they used? Does anybody know what they used? They used their hands or their feet. Now that probably sounds silly to us, but yeah, they didn't know how big or small to tell people things were. There's this really good book I like to read when we talk about measurement. Unfortunately, I don't have it because it's at the library, but it's about a king who wants to have somebody make a new bed for his wife. And he measures the bed, he measures the queen, with his foot. Like she laid down on the floor and he walked and measured with his foot and told the bed maker how many feet it was. Well, his feet, the king's feet, were really big. So the bed, when he made it, the guy made it, it came out to be way too big for the queen, because the queen wasn't as big, because her feet and her measurements were smaller than the king's. So I'll look up the name of that book, and maybe you guys can look it up online. I think it's called How Big is a Foot, but I'll have to double check that. So anyway, we're going to start measuring with our foot to understand why that's not a good idea. Okay, so you're going to take your foot and put it on a piece of paper, trace around it, and then you're going to cut it out. So I already did that, and this is my foot. All right. Then you're going to take your foot that you cut out and use it to look around your house. And I want you to be able to find something that is smaller than your foot, something that is bigger than your foot, and something that is the same size as your foot. Okay. Now I have a couple little examples to show you of some things. All right. I found a Sharpie. So I put the bottom of my foot next to the bottom of the Sharpie. And if you look, the Sharpie is smaller than my foot. Then I have a dice. The dice is definitely smaller than my foot. You have to go do something until I'm done, and I can check. I have a cell phone, smaller than my foot. I have a clipboard, bigger than my foot. Whenever you compare the size of something, you have to make sure the edge of your foot is at the edge of whatever you are measuring, okay? If I put my foot just in the middle here, yeah, I can tell that it's bigger, but that's not the proper way to measure something. You always have to line up the edge of what you're measuring with the edge of your measuring tool, which right now is our foot. Right? Jackson has a Batman alarm clock in his room. So if I take my foot to the edge at the bottom and go up to the top, which is bigger, my foot or Batman? Yeah, Batman. All right, so look around your house. See if you can find something bigger, something smaller, and something the same size. Okay, my three things. I have a highlighter that's smaller. I have a picture frame that is the same size as my foot. And then I have a newspaper that is bigger than my foot. I open it up and I put my foot down at the bottom. You can see the newspaper is definitely bigger than my foot. All right, so that's your first assignment. You're going to find something bigger, smaller, and the same size as your foot. All right. Then your next assignment with your foot is you're going to choose 2 other people in your house to trace their feet and cut their feet out as well. So I already showed you mine. And then this is Jackson's foot. And then this is my husband's foot. Pretty big, huh? Yeah. So then you're going to take the feet that you have to measure with and choose one thing in your house to measure. Now, what could you possibly measure with these feet? It has to be something large. It can't be like a Hot Wheel, because obviously all the feet are bigger than the Hot Wheel. So you need something bigger than all your feet, right? So I chose a chair, and I'm gonna slide it over here. See if we can get it in the picture. It'll look a little big there. This is my desk chair. All right. So then I have a piece of paper. Of course, it'll look backwards to you guys, but I wrote me for my foot. I wrote Jackson for Jackson's foot, and I wrote Dad for his foot. And then over here, I have the word feet, because we're measuring in feet, our actual feet. All right, so we have to figure out a number. How many feet tall is my desk chair? All right, so I'm going to start with my foot, and I'm going to put my foot at the bottom of the chair on the floor, holding it tall ways. All right, then where my foot stops here at the top, I'm going to put my finger, and then I'm going to move my foot so the bottom of it is now touching my finger, because that's where it stopped. All right, so this would be 1. This would be 2. I'm going to hold my finger there again, move my foot so the foot is touching the bottom of my finger. That would be 3. Move my finger to the top of the foot and move my foot so the bottom is touching my finger, and that is 4. So it took 4 of Jackson's feet to go for how tall the chair is. So on my paper, I'm sorry, that was my foot, I'm going to write a 4 because it took 4 feet using my foot. All right, now I'm going to use Jackson's foot. So his goes at the bottom of the chair. The bottom of the foot meets the bottom of the chair. My finger goes at the top of the foot. I move the foot up, so now the bottom of the shoe is at the bottom of, or I'm sorry, at my finger. So that's 2. That's 3. That's 4. And 5. Now, that's not a complete, if you can see up here at the top, the foot's kind of in half. So that would be 4.5 feet. So you can ask Mom and Dad how to do half, or if you want to just make it 5 feet, you can. To make a half, you make a 1, small 1, and then a little line, and then a small 2. Okay, Mom and Dad can help you write that. All right, so mine only took 4 feet. Jackson's took 4.5 feet. So now we're going to do Jackson's dad's. So again, the bottom of his foot goes at the bottom of the chair. Then I put my finger at the top, move my foot till the bottom of the foot touches the finger. That's 2. And that's 3. And that's not even a half. So I'm going to say 3. 3 of his dad's feet. Okay. So I have 4 feet, 4.5 feet, and 3 feet. Okay. So the purpose of doing this is to see that I got all different answers. Why did I get all different answers? I was using feet. I was using the same tool. So why are my answers different? I'll give you a second to think about that. You're right. Hopefully you said because the feet, the size of the feet I was using are different. Okay, these aren't the same size. Dad's foot is way bigger than our feet. Jackson and my foot's a little close, but still, mine's bigger than Jackson's. So I'm not going to get the same measurement. So a long time ago, when they were using their hands or they were using their feet to measure, eventually they figured out this isn't a good way because they kept getting different measurements. All right, so this is a fun thing to do to get us started with measurement. Okay, so please take some time, trace your foot, find things that are bigger, smaller, and the same size as your foot, and then do this experiment. Pick something in your house to measure. Could be a chair, could be a table. If you have a big screen TV, it could be a TV. It could be your bed. Anything big in your house that you can reach, that you can measure. And then when we get together next time, we'll talk a little bit more about this, kind of review what we learned. And then we're going to use some things in your house to measure. And then we will move on to using a ruler and making our own ruler in case we don't have a ruler. All right, so I will see you next time and have a good day. Bye, guys.